Hey folks, this is Gray here, and today in this video we're going to just kind of go over some pointers in regards to what I got growing in the garden, specifically tomatoes. And the reason I'm going to focus on tomatoes is because usually people that start gardening initially usually like to grow tomatoes. Usually they're pretty easy, tomatoes are pretty robust, and I wanted to just kind of touch on a point. A lot of people have asked me specifically, hey, when do I fertilize tomatoes outside of, initially getting the garden bed set up? So usually on average, you're gonna wait about 6 to 8 weeks once the tomato plants start to take root and they grow some, and then about 6 to 8 weeks from that standpoint, then you're gonna fertilize your tomato plants. Now, being that it's been the holiday season, I've already done that. But I decided to also kind of touch on something that I'm doing with my leafy greens. I also wanted to show you guys the progress of the carrots from the previous video. So it is December 20th. A lot of you folks either got snow, extreme cold weather. It's very dreary out here. It's very cloudy and windy. I think it's right around 67 degrees. In the evenings, it's been around, in the 50s. Max, I think it got to about 47. And I want to show you how well the garden's doing here in Florida, Zone 9B, and kind of show you the progress. Again, we started this garden bed specifically for an experiment to see how well you can grow year round. Now, one thing I want to show you about this garden bed is to see what we got growing, of course, and some of you folks that have been following the garden videos know what we have in this garden bed this year, and how the cold weather has been affecting it. We've had some storms roll through, some heavy rains, and all kinds of different little, atmospheric or weather related issues. And just think about this. If I can grow one bed with this food in there, and if you were to double, triple, or quadruple something like this, depending on the size of your family, gives you options for being more self-sufficient in regards to growing your own vegetables. Outside of, doing your prepper pantry, your canning, your pressure canning, dry canning, and all the other methods that we use to prepare foods for an emergency. I've learned a lot in the last few years of growing vegetables here in Florida. And we've grown corn, we've grown pumpkins, we've grown all different types of veggies, eggplants, herbs, medicinal plants, lots of fun stuff. It goes to show you that if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything that you put that energy into. All right, so in this video, being that I already have the tomato plants fertilized, I will kind of give you a glance at them. We'll do like a mini garden tour. And but one thing I haven't done yet is add some macronutrients or calcium nitrate, which you guys have seen me use before. And I'll throw it on the screen so you can see the bag of what it looks like. You can pick this up on Amazon. You can pick it up at some of your local places. I don't know if Homes or Lowe's or Home Depot carry it, but some garden centers do. It's a green bag, but it's usually easy to get it delivered to your home via, the big internet, as long as it exists, right? All right, so folks, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and put some of this calcium nitrate through my leafy greens, like lettuce, my cabbage that I got growing here, and I'm going to show you how I do that. It's a very simple process, but it's called side dressing. Instead of directly, some people with different types of fertilizers, you kind of just, sprinkle them on and water them in. With calcium nitrate, going sideways here, calcium nitrate, you want to side dress these plants. You don't want to directly put calcium nitrate, where your plants are. So you kind of come off a little bit, and I'll show you that here in just a second. So hopefully you'll get either some value out of this, maybe pick up something new. If you do, I always love to hear from you guys in the comment sections because it's great to read. Also, if I ever make any mistakes, I like to read about those mistakes or suggestions that people have, or things that people like to see grow towards the future. It looks like we have a little bit of a winter shower coming on. I feel sprinkles, so we'll try to move through this quickly. Maybe I won't have to use the water hose. Maybe the rain will water it in for me. All right, so let's get to the garden and see what we got, how we do this, and also show you the where the carrots are at. And the carrots are going to be a process through this because once they grow to a certain height, we'll end up thinning them out. All right, so basically, as you can see here, I've already kind of, if you see where my lettuce is right here, I kind of went down the middle here. Of course, that is cauliflower, and I kind of do a little side dress on that, so it'll kind of benefit both plants with these macronutrients. And over here with the cabbage, right there and there, and all I did was take this small trowel like this multi kind of tool here, and just bring like a little trough and come in here just like that. And if you see there, it's only, I'd say about 1 inch deep. And then I have my calcium nitrate here, and I'm going to sprinkle this just kind of down in the middle. Now I'm going to use my hands. Some people may say, you know, this or that, but it's not something that I would never use something that's going to be detrimental to myself or to my plants. With certain chemicals that people use specifically on you know, vegetables in their vegetable gardens, you know, like the Miracle Grows and all that other stuff that people like to use, that is a little bit more, I guess, a lot more stronger than what I'm doing here. But these macronutrients will be very beneficial to specifically leafy greens. I've used it before in other plants to kind of, you know, just give them those macronutrients. I would suggest folks out there, if you're really curious about the calcium nitrate, is to go ahead and do a little research and kind of pick up on what it is and how it works and what plants it's beneficial to. And as you see, I'm just kind of sprinkling that in there and trying to get like just a solid white line. I'm not going to go too heavy because these plants really just need a little bit. And what this will do, when I water it in, over time these macronutrients will reach these leafy greens, which will help stimulate the growth of the foliage on these plant leaves here, specifically the lettuce. And this is a purple romaine lettuce. As you guys see there, if you guys watched the one video when I first started this project, they're doing very well, even through all the cold and all the rain that we've been having. And then we're going to continue to do this alongside some of these other plants here. All right, now so that we get it all in there, basically we're just going to kind of push our dirt over and cover this up. There we go. And the same thing over here. And we have a couple other spots where the cabbage is. Like I said, it's a very simple process, but it's very beneficial to your plants. All the experience that I had using that process has helped me tremendously in getting better yields, especially with my leafy greens. All right, so we have that complete, and everything is covered back up, and everything is looking pretty good. I'm not going to water it in just yet, just because it's sprinkling. I don't know, here we can kind of get close to this board where you can see the rain. Let me see if I can get that to focus. The rain is there, and you can see how the rain droplets are hitting there. So if it's going to rain, I'm going to let the rain do its magic naturally versus me using an external water source. If it doesn't rain heavily enough, then I'll come back out here and follow up with some more water. All right, so let's move on to the carrots that you guys had watched me plant in these rows. So let me back up a little bit so you guys can see we did pretty good. The rows came out really nice, and we didn't get too much clumping. Let's come down here with the carrots. So when you look down here and you see these carrots, you can kind of, if you wanted to, you can technically thin them out now, but usually I wait till they get about 2 or 3 inches tall. And basically, I would look for the healthiest one out of the bunch and leave that one and chop them off, because with carrots, you want to leave like a 1 inch between each one. So as I go, like this is perfect here. We got one right here. That's awesome. This one here, I'll have to just take one of these out. And as you can see, in the 1 inch mark, we didn't do too bad. As you can see there, some of them are clumped up, some of them aren't. But the carrots, through all the storms and everything, are doing very, very well. So I'm very excited to see these carrots grow. I know some of you folks have been waiting for me to do the carrot video initially, so we got that started. This is phase 2. Once they get about 2 or 3 inches, then we'll go ahead and I'll show you the thinning process, or my process on thinning them, and then we'll watch these carrots grow all the way up until harvest time. All right, so moving on to the next row here, across here. Some of you folks may have watched the previous video and seen the tremendous growth that we've had since that video, which was probably several weeks ago. And I'll go over it again. That's our Brussels sprout over there. This is cauliflower, broccolini, and then some more cauliflower. Now, if you can see here, we're already starting to get heads of the broccolini popping up. What's great about broccolini is once that head gets to a certain size, we can harvest that head And this will continue to produce more heads of broccoli or broccolini. It's a different taste, very, very similar broccoli. We saute it with butter and garlic. It's really good. There's the other head. So the garden is coming along very well. As you can see, all of the onions have sprouted. If you remember a while ago, there was nothing there. And as you can see, the onions. And what my wife will come and do when she's cooking is she will come and cut these off. I don't know if it's going to focus on there or not. I'm trying to get closer to the camera. Let's move it there. She'll cut these off and use them for cooking, like little green onions or whatnot. It doesn't affect the plant very much, and I'll explain how you harvest onions. When we do that harvest, basically you'll see the difference in these heads. Instead of them being really green like they are now, they'll start to limp over and turn like a brownish color. And that kind of gives you an idea when to harvest those onions. But that'll be a fun thing, pulling the onions out when the time does. Even when the lettuce is growing like this, all these lettuces, you can come out here if you want to make a small salad for yourself, and you can pull some of these lettuce leaves off like that, right out of the garden. And the cool thing is, when you pull it out of the garden, it's fresh to eat. You can just, if you like lettuce, you know? So, and the reason I use the purple lettuce is because it has a lot more nutrients in it than your standard iceberg lettuce. So whenever I try to grow anything, I'm trying to get the most nutrients out of it for me and my family. All right, so let's go ahead and move over here to the tomatoes. I know it looks a little crazy, but cherry tomatoes are always crazy the way they grow. And remember, folks, this side here gets the most sun, and the sun kind of dwindles as it gets here. This is kind of like the middle point where the sun kind of cuts off, and these get less sun. And you can see the growth difference from these candy lane cherry tomatoes to the one on this side, which has grown tremendously. And each one of these is like a 12 by 12 square. So you can see 1, 2, 3 feet now, and it's starting to grow beyond that. But we'll get close up to that. This is also our yellow pear tomato that's looking good. And I'll show you some of the tomatoes on that. So as you can see here, the candy lane, sorry, candy lane. Who knows what I'm talking about anymore. The candy lane tomatoes are growing heavy. And that's why usually I wait till 6 to 8 weeks, because we let it, first what we did was with this tomato plants, or all of them specifically, is we let them, we kept on pulling all the flowers off and trimming down the bottom so they get really good airflow down there. And also we trim up from there to kind of keep the bugs from kind of messing with the plants. Even though it's winter time here in Florida, again, it's December 20th, a few days before Christmas, good airflow, proper airflow down there, plus the marigolds down there also deter pests as well, as a great companion plant. All right, as you can see, it's starting to grow outside of even where I expected it to grow. And these tomatoes are starting to bunch up. And that's the reason I waited about, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks before I added the kind of booster to get fruit production. So we kind of let the plant grow and do its thing. And then we let it come to flower, as you see here. We let it come to flower and then let the bees do their thing, as well as the wind. And also, if you don't really have wind, and if you're always worried about, you know, how do they pollinate these tomatoes, is you can just come over here and shake these things. You'll see the wife out here, she'll be doing that sometimes, just to kind of self-pollinate these things, I guess, if you want to call it self-pollination. But as you can see, if I back up a little bit, it's covered in yellow flowers. And the bees are having a great time. The bees come over here from the purple flowers, which is the Thai basil. As you can see, it's gone crazy. Rosemary's still doing pretty good as well. But we'll talk about that another time. Let's move back over here and kind of go up and down. As you can see, there's tomatoes here, tomatoes there, lots of tomatoes, 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 but they're all over the place wherever you look with the plant. So we should get a pretty substantial amount of tomatoes, cherry tomatoes specifically, with this. No matter where you go on this thing, it has tomatoes growing. And they're about the size of a quarter once they become fully red, and we'll do a follow-up video on that. This probably needs to be cleaned up. Some of the dead stuff can be, you know, pulled out of here and cleaned up. The wife will come up here on Sundays mornings and kind of like, you know, clean this stuff up. move things around a little bit to give them a little bit more air and whatnot. But if you look at these tomatoes specifically, see, whoops, let me see here, I can get a little bit closer. Where'd they go? There they are. See how round that these tomatoes are? These are more of a round variety cherry tomato. And if we look at the pear tomato, they're more shaped like a pear, and these are what they call the yellow pear tomato. And you can kind of see they have like a teardrop look to them, and they'll be yellow, like a bright yellow, once they come to ripen. And it's doing pretty well as well, if that makes any sense. Everywhere you look on there, they got little pear tomatoes floating around in here and growing there. I think there's some way back in there. I don't know if you guys can see that back there. I'm gonna move that in there. And this will continue to grow too. Now, some people may say, Grey, will these cross each other and, you know, cross-pollinate? It could be a possibility. We could get possibly Candyland yellow pear tomatoes, which would be interesting to see if we do. But I haven't really had too many issues with it if you're really concerned about it. And if it's that big of a deal, I would just make sure that you separate your tomato plants, space them as good as you possibly can so that that doesn't happen. I'm just kind of browsing as I'm sitting here talking to you guys in regards to the pear tomatoes. And then of course we have more of these Candyland tomatoes, and they're very more of a bush viney variety. Kind of looking around, as you can see, it's just covered in flowers, folks. And when you see this many flowers, you know, you figure a lot of those are going to turn into tomatoes. I hope everyone has a great Christmas. And I'll probably I'm going to have a live stream. I was going to do one before Christmas, but just time got away from me. You know, family and stuff like that. Tis the season, right? It's just a very busy time of the year. But before the end of the year, we'll do one more live stream before the end of the year. And maybe we'll see how everybody's Christmas is growing. Who knows what we'll talk about? I haven't decided yet. But I guess I should stop rambling for the folks that are just wanted the garden video. But I appreciate you folks that enjoy my conversation that I have with you in these moments that I do these videos. If you got any value out of the video, I appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button. Love to hear from you in the comments, if always, what your thoughts are. And again, want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And I'll catch you guys on the rebound. God bless. Thank you so much for watching. This is GreyMan, and I'm out.